Hello, everyone. My name is Alizeh Akbar Meer, and I recently graduated from Harvard Law School. And I think the session is supposed to start at 11:45. So let's just wait for 2 more minutes for everyone else, whoever wants to be a part of this, to join. It's almost time. Let's just give it 1 more minute. Well, it's 11:45. Sorry, 8:45. It's 11:45 a.m. is where I am. I am in Pennsylvania right now. So a little bit about myself. I am Alizeh. My name is Alizeh, and I'm a lawyer. I recently graduated from Harvard Law School, and I completed my master's degree here. So, before coming to the US, I was working in Pakistan. And a little bit about my journey in Pakistan. I graduated from University of London external program in 2020, which is a 3 year long LLB degree, which you do with University of London, but you do the program entirely in Pakistan. So you essentially study at a tuition center in Pakistan, and then you take the exams like you do with O levels and A levels in every May, June, or November, October, however you plan to go about your LLB degree. I did 3 years of that, and then I started working at a law firm in Lahore, and I did 2 years of litigation. So there's different kinds of lawyers. There's lawyers that go to court, and there's lawyers that sit in the office and do all the contracts and everything. So I was a litigator. I would go to courts and I would argue before the courts. So I was a litigator, and I did 2 years of that, and then I worked at the Supreme Court of Pakistan with Justice Aisha Malik. I was a law clerk. It's not, I know there's this misconception around the word clerk around Pakistan. That's not who we are. We're judicial law clerks. So to look at it is, you can just say that we were associates to Supreme Court judges. So we would be working with them, researching judgments and cases with them, and then we would assess them in writing. So that's essentially what I did for 2 years in Pakistan, and then I applied from LLM. But along with all of my work, like this work and my LLB, I was also, along with it, was working with a couple of initiatives. As a lawyer, I was working with this initiative called Women in Law Initiative, where we would create opportunities and just hold seminars and sessions like these for female lawyers in Pakistan, create opportunities for them, and just a very close knit social networking thing for um, female lawyers. Along with that, I was working with another initiative called Kanundan, where we would again make videos of judgments that would have come out from superior courts of Pakistan. We would simplify them and put them out for layman, so they would understand what the legal development is in the country. And that's a little bit about myself. And then I came to the US in 2024 August, and I was in Boston. It's really, really cold there. And I was pursuing my LLM. My LLM, I focus entirely on the courses that I knew I wanted to work on in the long run, which were like I wanted to do some bankruptcy work, I wanted to do corporate work. So a lot of my courses were around that. I did antitrust work, which is competition law. All of these are big words, but they're just like different areas of laws that I am interested in. So naturally, I was working in these areas. Apart from this, I was also engaged with different initiatives at Harvard. I was doing different things there. And some of these, I was engaged with the Pakistani Society at Harvard, and we organized many things that we could at the time. The program that I did at Harvard was a 1 year long program. So we were, there was little time and so much we wanted to do. So naturally, we had to just club it in together, and it was just amazing. So the lecture today that we're going to be focusing on is creating an impact for Pakistan from abroad. And that is something that I think a lot of people, especially the ones that are able to and want to come abroad, are able to do. So I think this is a very wide area and we can focus on some things. So we can speak about it in like what can you do when you're already here, and what are the ways to like pursue your masters or other opportunities that you can do to like come outside of Pakistan, gain experience, and then eventually come back to Pakistan and create an impact. For me, it's more relevant because I want to, for now, stay in the US and work here. That is the plan. So when I think about creating an impact for Pakistan, it is essentially what can I do to give back to the country that was able to prepare me to come here a year ago, right? So what I do for that is like firstly like sessions like these. This is a great initiative that's been taken by National Youth Leadership Program, and I think engaging with initiatives like these is the bare minimum that people who have been able to come here have done can do, and that's one of the very bare minimums that you can do. But in the larger scale, I think it's also that how can you, so I have an active Instagram that I engage with on people, and that is a platform that I think I'm able to give the most out of, although I'm not actively posting about my legal journey or my career as much. But that is one platform that I get most questions on. And I think I was speaking to a friend recently, and he said that, oh, how many people do you think you helped out in this one cycle? And I was like, so many. I think I had helped out over 15 to 20 people with their LLM applications, and it's just so amazing to see all of them at such good universities after the application cycle. Like this year, they have also come to the US, and now we're making plans to meet here and do different things, right? So this is something that I think, um, I'm so sorry. I think there's some problem with the settings. Am I audible? I've been talking nonstop. I hope people can hear me. I can't. I can't. Okay, thank you so much. So I can see the comments. Thank you so much. Anyway, so that is one of the things that I felt that it's not just me that is doing this. I think this is something that as a community we are doing. And as somebody, okay, so another thing that I noticed being here is that there are not enough Pakistanis, especially in like top positions in the US, which is really alarming to me. Or maybe it's a good thing that we did not feel the need to come outside of the country sooner. But the network that exists for Indians just does not exist for us. So when I was looking for mentors or like help or just like guidance as to how I'm going to pivot, I did not have many Pakistanis I could reach out to. So that is really lacking. So the people who have come here are either in their like mid career or are just starting off as students. So I think it is the responsibility of the people who are already here to help people out who want to, even in the short term or long term, not just in the US, it includes the UK, the Australia, like anywhere that people want to explore. They want to go back or not is their personal decision, but just because we're outside and we have the knowledge and we have the expertise to tell them how to get here, we need to make that impact for our younger people who want to pursue similar paths as us. So why do I think like it really matters to like have this kind of connection, even if you want to stay in the US long term? Sorry, you want to stay in in Pakistan long term. I still think it's very helpful for us to have access to the global network that exists, right? No matter what your career is, what path you're choosing. I'm a lawyer. Perhaps it's more important for lawyers to be connected to the international community, but I see like how important it is for my marketing friends to be connected, my doctor friends to be connected. So I don't think like we can as a whole make like we can get to those places as a country as long as we don't connect with the larger international community at large. So I think having access to the global network is one of the big reasons as to why I encourage people to at least do their masters abroad, even if they're unable to go for their undergraduate. It's really the exposure that you get is unparalleled. It's not just the global network. There's some top institutions in the world that offer full scholarship. Literally, I understand with the economy that we come from, it is a big hurdle to be able to afford to pay in the dollars, right? So there's so many other initiatives, programs. There are Pakistani scholarships that pay for half of your street fee. Then there are loan programs. I know, like, we are as a society not big on taking loans because it's not considered very Islamic, but there are universities like Harvard, there are universities like Yale that getting into these places is harder than securing funding for it. So I know people who got into the LLM program and could not afford, like they could not afford lumps. They were an NOP scholar. I don't know if you're aware what an NOP scholar is. It's a program that if you meet, like you are at a certain threshold of income, if your income background falls within or under a threshold, you can go to LUMS for free. And that is similarly for how like top universities in the US also deal with it. So these scholarships are need blind. So what they do is that we if we're if the somebody gets in, they essentially ask you, okay, what are your finances like, and if you which Pakistanis generally tend to fall within those. If you fall within that bracket, they would give you a good scholarship so that you're able to come. So I know somebody who couldn't even afford to buy their flight tickets to the US. So naturally, when that was the case and they had the application to actually get into the university, and their only problem was not being able to afford getting in, they Harvard paid for it. Like their flights, their books, everything was paid for. So I think the mental hurdle of not being able to, like, not applying to places because you think you can't afford it. I think firstly, like, it's possible for you to request the universities that, hey, like, I can't afford to apply, but I think my profile is good enough for me to get in. Could you please give me a fee waiver? And then if they approve it, you can apply, because otherwise even applying to each of these colleges requires like $100, $85 fee, which is a good amount of money for especially Pakistanis with our currency going down so aggressively. So I think just exploring these options and not letting just money be the problem. Like if you get in, then there's so many different things you can do. I do think that getting in is the first step that you need to take, and then you get like 5 6 months to secure funding and figure out your plan. And there's so many ways we can do it. Then okay, coming back to our topic, I think we really just shifted, but coming back to our topic on like creating impact from abroad, right? Like, so why, again, why do we need to do it? We need to have the Pakistani voice be amplified. It is only now कि भाई हमें तेल मिल गया बलूचिस्तान में that international community feels the need to speak about us. Before that, we were just this dangerous country that tourists should not go to because of terrorists, right? Like now we're trying to fix that reputation. The kinds of conversations that I had explaining to people that listen, we're not living in shelters and we're not worried for our lives the way that it is portrayed on media, especially Bollywood doesn't help. Like when Bollywood speaks about us, they speak about us like we're just this war-ridden terrorist country, but we're not. So I think it is important for people who are here and people who are trying to come here, come with the right mindset to like put the positive image of Pakistan out there, to amplify the voice, to speak about why we're not everything that the media has so far tried to make us look like. So I think being here has been a very, and it's not been very long. Like I've been here for the past 1 year now, over a year, a little bit. And I think some of the conversations that I've had, I actively felt like, okay, this is the least I owe to my country to speak about it and tell people what it's like. And I keep planning this trip that I hope happens at some point, that, oh, I'm going to just send a vast invite to everyone in my class. We were 180 people, and whoever can should come. And I'm just going to have this Norton trip with them to fix the image and just change their minds about what they think where we come from. So that's one element of it. And then I think another thing that we can do, we overseas, I'm not an overseas Pakistani. I don't think I'm an overseas Pakistani. I think I've just been here for a year and a half, a little over a year, and that does not qualify me. I was living in Lahore for all of my life, so I'm still like a regular Pakistani, and I don't know when I'm going to be comfortable giving up that title and switch to an overseas Pakistani title, but I'm not there yet. Yeah, so I think when you're here, another thing, especially if you're going back, skills that you bring are very very different to the skills that exist here. I don't think our skills are useless. I don't think हमारे पाकिस्तानी skills count नहीं होते. हम पाकिस्तानी हैं तो हम लोगों का काम experience. It is true that they don't think it's as serious as what they do here, but in areas like IT, in areas, there's so many areas that Pakistanis really do have an expertise in. And medicine in the US is one of them. Like doctors here, especially in this town that I'm living in Pennsylvania, doctors here are all Pakistanis and they're like in top positions. Doctors is a big thing here. So how that works is कि वो अपना MBBS कर लेते हैं, and then they do a little bit of residency, and then they take some US exams and come complete their residencies here, and then they stay here long term. That's how the doctors have done it here. And I imagine some also get into like some advanced degrees here if they wanted to do that. So we do bring some skills to हम लोग this environment में, like we're growing and we're working, especially if you have some work experience. It's it's different to what they have been working with, but that doesn't neglect or like undermine what you bring to the table. We're able to bring a lot of like put down your like head and work kind of attitude, which I think is not something that they're used to here, especially in like New York City towns. Like New York is very very rigorous and aggressive, but I think the yes rest of the US is like, okay, work life balance, blah blah blah. Not that it's a good thing, but I think Pakistanis have this thing that okay, we have to get to a point first and then comes the work life balance. I don't know if I want to promote that mindset, because having a work life balance and having a happy life is also very very important. But I think to spend some years here to gain, like, adapt to their skills and then also offer yours, and then take it back to the country, we're doing our country a favor. That okay, I've worked in the US and these are the things that I liked and I'm going to bring these back. So that's how essentially that I think that we can make more and more impact. Other than that, I see a lot of Pakistanis here that have started startups. They're like working with businesses. They had businesses in Pakistan and now they've registered it here. It's a huge market, right? Like, it's one of the highest populated countries in the world. It's a huge market, and it's also a trend setting market. If America follows into something, it tends to get taken up by other countries. Shouldn't be like that. It is like that. So it's it's also a great market for you to come to and do your little startup, like start your startup here. But there's a lot of problems with the visa when doing that, and I don't think I know enough to speak as to that, because my visa application was a student application, so I only dealt with that. So that's what I want to say so far. I see there are a few questions, we can go over them if that's okay before, and then I can cover other things within the answers. What's going on with my hair? So there's a question which says the first thing is to enter the law school, right, ma'am? Yes. So unlike the US, Pakistan doesn't have so how it works in the US is that you do undergraduate and then you apply for law school. If you want to if you have the means to and you have this grades for, you can do that. It gives you an easier entry into the US market, but I recommend it only if you want to stay in the US indefinitely, like you want to work in the US and stay in the US forever. That makes sense that you do their degree. But for Pakistan, and if you're presently in Pakistan after your A levels or FSC, you essentially have to apply for law school. And you can apply for local law schools, or you could apply for the kind of degree जो मैंने की है. लोकल लॉ स्कूल्स का ये है कि आपकी 5 साल की डिग्री है, उसमें आपका पहले 2 साल बीए होता है और फिर आपके 3 साल का लॉ डिग्री होती है. सो इट कम्स टू लाइक 5 years ऑफ योर BA LLB प्रोग्राम. उसके साथ जो द डिग्री आई डिड वाज 3 years. उसमें after my A levels, which is FSC, I did 3 years of law school and I graduated by 21, 22. And that is the first step to entering the legal profession. You have to do law. Practicing law in Pakistan के भी like 2-3 चीज़ें हैं. उसमें आपने बार एग्जाम्स देने होते हैं. But if anyone's interested in knowing that, we can speak about it more. But that's what the first step to entering the profession is. um, what our application must contain that makes sure that we would be able to get admission there, Harvard and Yale. So I don't know if this is a very specific question as to the law school and the LLM program, or if you're speaking about generally like for undergraduate. So if you could be more specific, but I would like for like without context कि आप कौन सी degree की बात कर रही हैं, I can tell you that आपकी लाइक नॉर्मल पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट होती है, आपकी ग्रेड्स होते हैं, आपकी रिकमेंडेशंस होती हैं, एंड देन दे हैव अ कपल ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दैट दे आस्क यू एंड you have to answer them. So this is essentially like the framework. Okay, if you're asking for masters in law, so that is another very very detailed thing. Okay, I will just quickly go over it. For LLM at Harvard, I did not just apply to Harvard, I applied to multiple other schools. So this is not just for Harvard, this applies to other law schools in the US as well, but strictly in the US क्योंकि मैंने UK apply नहीं किया तो मुझे नहीं पता उनका application process क्या है और how it works, or if it's different. For all I know, it could entirely be the same. लेकिन मैं सिर्फ US की बात करूँगी. Harvard is so Harvard requires a personal statement. उनकी जो पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट है इट्स ब्रोकन इनटू टू पार्ट्स, जिसमें एक ए पार्ट होता है और उसमें एक बी पार्ट होता है। ए पार्ट में वो आपसे कहते हैं कि आप एक लीगल इशू आइडेंटिफाई करें, उसका एनालिसिस करें और बताएं कि उसका आप एक फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ अ सॉल्यूशन बताएं कि आप क्या देंगी, लाइक व्हाट वुड बी द सॉल्यूशन दैट यू थिंक should exist for the problem that you have identified. उसके बाद they ask you, अच्छा, tell us about yourself. What have you done so far? What you plan to do in the future? And what are you doing right now? And how does it all line up with your plans at Harvard? तो उसमें आप बहुत सेल्फ रिफ्लेक्ट करते हो, यू थिंक अबाउट व्हाट यू हैव डन, व्हाट यू प्लान टू डू, व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, इसमें हार्वर्ड कहाँ फॉलो इन करता है. So it's an application that requires a lot of sitting down with and thinking about कि अच्छा चाहिए क्या. But I don't think this is just for the law program. I think this is essentially like true for किसी किस्म का भी प्रोग्राम हो जिसके अंदर आप बैठ के you have to sit down with yourself and think कि अच्छा ये सवाल है, मुझसे ये पूछ रहे हैं, how can I answer this in the most authentic way which is true for me. आप किसी किस्म की भी कॉलेज एप्लीकेशन, चाहे वो आप एलएलएम के लिए कर रहे हैं, एमबीए के लिए कर, किसी के लिए भी, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि हर सवाल का एक मकसद है जिसकी वजह से वो सवाल एप्लीकेशन में डाला गया है. Research, find out क्या मकसद है, reach out to people who've gotten in, speak to them, find out how did it. They probably will not be comfortable with sharing their application materials, but they would give you some sense of किस तरह डील करना है. So I think that is the like a brief way of dealing with the personal statement. And then comes other parts of your application, your resume. उसके अंदर आप अपनी CV, अपना experience बताते हैं. Now I applied जब मैंने 3 साढ़े 3 साल का मेरा experience था, और मैं like I mentioned कि मैं law firm में काम किया, मैंने Supreme Court में काम किया, and then I also had a couple of other small ventures that I was working with. So that's a lot to put in a CV. So I had to apply to see कि how can I make it very, very focused. So I had to take out some of the things that were not relevant to the area of law that I was applying to and only make a very, very specific resume. So resume is one thing that you have to submit. Then you have to submit your recommendations. Recommendations, they ask you to submit 2 to 5. So you can decide if you want to submit 2, 3, 4, or 5. I submitted 3. Why did I submit 3? I submitted 3 because I had 3 very, very diverse experience that I thought would be relevant for my application. तो मैंने एक recommendation अपने law school professor से लिखवाई, एक मैंने अपने law firm के partner से लिखवाई, and then I had one of the Supreme Court judges that I was working with write my recommendation. So this was the recommendation bit. उसके अलावा they ask us कि आपके 3, 5, 7 year plans क्या हैं. And उसके अंदर again a lot of self reflection, sitting down with yourself कि अच्छा where do I see myself in 3 years now, where do I see myself in 5 years, where do I see in my 7+ years. So a lot of planning and thinking as to what you want in life and where do you see yourself going to and where are you right now. Then they also ask you briefly कि why have you chosen this specific area of law. You speak as to that. Then they ask you, okay, what is something fun about you that we wouldn't otherwise know from your application. You speak about that. This is essentially your application. They ask you कि आपकी class ranking क्या थी, आपके grades वगैरह की transcripts, of course you submit. So all of that. And this was essentially the LLM application. I have gone through it in reasonable detail. If there are more questions specific to any part, I'm happy to answer. There's a question with so that means we have to get approval to apply for any university before applying. No, you do not have to get approval to apply to any university that you apply to. I was saying कि universities की बहुत ज़्यादा application fees होती है, and this is probably going to differ from program to program, university to university. But when I was applying, I remember I paid like $85 for each university that I applied for, and that came to like $500, $600. So that's a lot of money. So I am saying that don't let money be a factor as to why you don't apply. First, like if anyone has financial constraints, dollar is very, very expensive. I understand that. If anyone has financial constraints and they still want to try their shot, you can always reach out to the university. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't work. Some universities are more than happy to give it, some don't. So what you can do is reach out to them and tell them, hey, I want to apply, but I don't have the means to apply for the financial sorry the uh, I don't have the means to pay for the fee. So if I could please get a waiver. So that's what I was saying when I said that you can apply and get a fee waiver. That's what I was referring to. But generally, if you have the means to, आप directly university में apply करें. That is absolutely fine. Um, are there more questions? Yeah, so if you're doing your LLB from Liverpool, you can definitely apply. Please try to get a first class. And if do one minimum, try to get a first class. Um, so like, however, even if you don't get a first class, you can still get into nice colleges in the US at least. Um, so like we apply for undergraduate, we do it same for Harvard from Common App. No, so Harvard does not have a Common App thing. It has something called LSAG, but it's not something you have to engage with unless um, you're applying to different universities. So आप Harvard directly apply करते हो to their पोर्टल. उनकी अपनी वेबसाइट पे पोर्टल है. You apply through that और अपनी जो ट्रांसक्रिप्ट है उनको ईमेल करते हो. No, it's no common apps. However, अगर आप ज़्यादा यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में अप्लाई करो, then you reach out to, then you sign up through, क्योंकि काफ़ी LLM प्रोग्राम्स हैं जो आपको कहते हैं कि आप एक पोर्टल है, it's called LSAC, LSAC. What it requires is कि हम आपकी एप्लीकेशन सिर्फ LSAC के थ्रू देखेंगे. So when that happens, you have to pay LSAC की fees. Again, something you can apply for a waiver, but they're really, really difficult to get a waiver from. So you can do that. And it's not mandatory. Like universities, some universities will let you apply to them directly, and some will require you to apply through LSAC. How was I able to work in the Supreme Court of Pakistan while doing degree? I did not work at the Supreme Court of Pakistan while doing my degree. I worked at the Supreme Court of Pakistan after graduating law school, Pakistan में. Then I did my litigation, like law firm में मैंने काम किया. उसके बाद मैंने Supreme Court में apply किया. And I was working under a judge for a judge, and I was assisting them with their judge stuff. Um, So if you want to, so somebody wants to do an LLB question. Okay, so I want to know, if you want to do an LLB, what are you thinking? Do you want to do University of London external, or do you want to do the local LLB program? If you could please tell me, Hassan Khan, I would answer that to more specifically. But if other people also want to know, I can go over both of them individually. I did get a scholarship from Harvard. That answers your question. It's fine. As a practicing lawyer with litigation and corporate experience, what roadmap would you suggest for someone like me to strengthen my profile for an admission to Harvard? I really love that question. I think that's a really, really good question. Um, like I just said to somebody who's studying at Liverpool, I think I, yeah, so like I was just speaking to Hamda, and I was telling her, oh, get first class or get a 2-1 at the minimum. What that means is that law, how well you do in law school matters, but it's not the deal breaker. So first class definitely helps. First class means कि आपकी like 3.8 to 4.0 GPA है, which is really, really good. It helps, but that's not a deal breaker. Like it really helps, but does not limit your chance. Limit might not be the right word, but it doesn't take away your chances of getting into law schools abroad or getting into Harvard. So I personally had a 2-1. I know somebody who recently went to Yale and had a 2-1. And 2-1 would be like, I would say that it's 3.4 to 3.7. 2-1, आपका GPA like should be like 3.2 so ऊपर at least is one thing you can do. like I said, academics matter, but it's not the only thing that matters. The roadmap, I think I really sat down with myself and worked really hard to establish my roadmap that I can share. But I think everyone has their own journey. तो हर किसी को अपना देखना चाहिए कि क्या what works for them. मेरा 2-1 था तो I knew कि मैं हार्वर्ड डायरेक्टली अप्लाई नहीं करूँगी क्योंकि it doesn't make sense कि मैं I'm not एक्सपीरियंस मेरे पास कोई सब्सटैंशियल है नहीं क्योंकि आई वाज जस्ट गेटिंग आउट ऑफ लॉ स्कूल और मैंने लाइक लॉ स्कूल के अंदर लाइक आई मेंशन कानून दान एंड वुमेन लॉ किया था बट दैट हैड नथिंग टू डू विद द एरिया ऑफ लॉ दैट आई वाज इंटरेस्टेड इन राइट लाइक आई सेड मैंने कॉर्पोरेट लॉ करना था तो उसके बीच में लाइक इट डजंट मेक सेंस कि अच्छा आई वाज हेल्पिंग वुमेन आउट or like I was trying, I was volunteering or I was making videos to simplify law, right? Like it has nothing to do with corporate law. ये मुझे समझ आ गई थी और ये मुझे समझ इसलिए आई थी कि आई रियली रियली रिसर्च आई कैन नॉट लाइक मे बी आई एम अ लॉयर बट आई एम अ बिग एडवोकेट ऑफ रिसर्चिंग तो मैंने बहुत रिसर्च की एंड आई रियलाइज्ड कि आई वांटेड टू work at a law firm and that to a top law firm that works in the area of law that I want to apply for. So I chose a law firm in Lahore and I started working for them. And मैंने उनके साथ 2 साल काम किया और उसमें भी I tried to like I would request them and then they understood कि मेरा area क्या है. Then they would put me on cases that were specific to my area of law that really helped really gave me exposure to what I was talking about, right? Like naturally I was coming straight out of law school. तो जो मुझे वहाँ पे एक्सपोजर मिला इट टोल्ड मी कि अच्छा ठीक है दिस इज truly something I want to do. I really enjoyed my time doing litigation, doing corporate work. It was really nice. अब मुझे ये भी पता था कि what are the things. तो जब मैं research करती I noticed that Harvard and other universities really value law clerkship. And then I also started looking into it and I knew that I wanted to work for a specific judge and वो जज उस टाइम पे हाई कोर्ट में थी एंड आई न्यू कि अच्छा ठीक एंड आई ऑलवेज टोल्ड माई सेल्फ कि अच्छा व्हेन शी गोज टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट अगर मैं तब भी एलिजिबल हुई आई विल अप्लाई नोइंग कि आई रियली वांटेड टू डू लॉ क्लर्कशिप क्योंकि यूएस रियली वैल्यूज इट राइट हुआ ये कि द ईयर दैट आई वांटेड टू अप्लाई इफ मुझे पता था कि दिस इज द ईयर आई विल अप्लाई इफ आई अप्लाई और उस साल के जनवरी में शी गॉट एलिवेटेड टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड आई वाज लाइक ओ माय गॉड नाउ शी इज इन द सुप्रीम कोर्ट आई हैव टू अप्लाई then I applied and then luckily I got assigned to the same judge. I had of course like बताया हुआ था कि oh I'm most interested in working with this specific judge. Then I worked for her and then I told her also okay I want to pursue my masters and this is the area that I want to work in. So if there's like any case on the bench and if we could get it to our chamber so we could write her judgments. So she was extremely supportive and she was like of course like we can do that and then we also I was able to do a lot of and this was also like not largely but from her practice area like years it was also her area of practice so it just all came together but I think I really worked hard to strategically make this roadmap for myself and then it came together so it was years in the making like I worked hard to make a roadmap and then I very very consistently and passionately followed that roadmap so I would say this was my roadmap that I could share. And I think agar mera like first class degree hoti, my roadmap would have been different. But since me to one thi, I had to navigate it according to my own circumstances. So this is how I did my road mapping. If you could have some help from that. Um, I'm LLB 5 years and planning to study abroad for postgrad. What would you suggest should I do now during uni for prep? I would say do internships at different law firms during your LLB. आप अगर 5 साल का है तो that gives you 5 years of four because last year I think you should be working somewhere and if you can like finding law firms का भी ये है कि you need to know where you're going. There are law firms that don't really use their associates for more than just अच्छा ठीक है like index बना दो stupid things right like कोर्ट में फाइलें पकड़ के खड़े हो जाओ so really get into ask people if you have lawyers in the family ask them get good recommendations reach out to young lawyers reach out to people who are in the profession I'm just doing. I cannot overemphasize how helpful it is to reach out to people and ask them for their guidance. Don't feel shy in doing that. I get so many questions, and समटाइम्स इट गेट्स ओवरवेलमिंग क्योंकि मुझे दिन में कम से कम 3 से 4 सवाल डेली आते हैं, एंड दिस इज़ ऑन माय इंस्टाग्राम चैनल जहाँ पे मैं लॉ का ज़्यादा पोस्ट भी नहीं करती हूँ, आई एम जस्ट शेयरिंग माय पर्सनल लाइफ एंड बट आई ऑलवेज़ मेक इट अ पॉइंट टू answer every question anyone asks me. And one thing that I notice is that when people ask me questions, sometimes people are very, very kind and respectful and generous in their asking me the question, which I really value. And then, of course, there's some people who message me asking me questions as if I owe it to them or that it's my responsibility. So my when you reach out to people, please try to be very, very respectful and be very grateful that, oh, you're taking out the time. Nobody owes this to you, nobody owes it to you, but people are nice and people do answer. तो मैं जब स्टूडेंट थी और मैं लोगों को रीच आउट करती थी, मैं कुछ 4 दफ़ा बोलती थी, आई एम सो ग्रेटफुल फॉर योर टाइम दैट यू आर टेकिंग आउट द टाइम टू आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन फॉर मी एंड stuff like that. And when you do that, people are more responsive to you. So figure out the law firms in Pakistan that you think you can work with. फिगर आउट योर इंटरेस्टेड एरिया ऑफ लॉ. मैंने जब स्टार्ट किया था, आई वाज़ लाइक मैंने क्रिमिनल लॉ करना है, मुझे आसमा जहांगीर की लॉ फर्म में काम करना है. दैट वाज़ द प्लान. आई डिड a criminal law. I actually did an internship in the criminal thing at the Asman Jahangir's law firm, and it was so difficult for me. Like, I realized I don't have the stomach for criminal law, like the blood and the very, very gruesome details. I was like, ये तो नहीं मैं कर सकती. And then that was really one thing that मुझे पता था कि मैं लॉ स्कूल इसलिए जा रही हूँ कि मुझे ह्यूमन राइट्स क्रिमिनल करना है. एंड देन लाइक इट जस्ट फिर मेरी जो नेक्स्ट इंटर्नशिप थी उसके बाद it just I worked at the AG office, like I was working at the Advocate General's office for my second internship. These are also options, by the way. You can always apply for internships at these places, reach out to people, टेक एडवाइस. आप देखो आप कहाँ पहुँचना चाहते हो एंड देखो उस जर्नी पे और कौन-कौन है. दैट विल बी हेल्पफुल इन डिटर्मिनिंग कि अच्छा आपका प्लान क्या है. आपने अपना प्लान खुद बनाना है, नोबडी इज़ गोइंग टू मेक दैट प्लान फॉर यू. सो एलएलबी में आप इंटर्नशिप्स करें, आप डिफरेंट इस टाइप के सेमिनार्स लीगल फॉलो करें, उनको सुनें, आप देखें, स्पीक टू लॉयर्स. I think Kanunan has a whole library of senior lawyers speaking about their journeys. Watch those, see आपको क्या अच्छा लग रहा है, आप क्या करना चाहते हो, and then make a plan for yourself. But I will say कि आपका जो during LLB plan है, that has to be a during LLB plan. आपके like second last year या last year में you sit down and you're like अच्छा ठीक है मैं आगे क्या चाहती हूँ, and do that then. You're also really interested in corporate law, such places like Heather Moore. Heather Moore is an excellent law firm. If you're interested in corporate law, you should definitely aim for Heather Moore. Then there's also, are you in Karachi or Lahore? If you could be more specific, Hamda. But agar aap, so Heather Moore, I would say, is like amazing. If you're in Karachi, it is amazing. If you are in, and Villani is amazing if you're in Karachi. If you're in Lahore, I would say Ria is really, really good. But I hope you understand, when you're saying you want to do corporate law, you're saying you want to not do litigation, right? Like that's what you're saying. You don't want to engage with the courts. You want to. If you're in Lahore, I think Heather Mota is an excellent law firm, but their primary office is in Karachi. So I don't know how that works, but Heather Mota is an internationally recognized law firm, which is very, very helpful. You should also speak to people working in Heather Mota Lahore office and find out what they feel about working there. Always reach out to people who are doing what you want to do. Don't feel shy. Be very respectful and generous when you reach out to them. Yes, I was talking about just Aisha. When admission for masters and how to search university. Admissions September में खुलने वाले हैं. How to search for universities. आप laws universities की बात कर रहे हैं. Can you be more specific? I am not sure if my audience is entirely legal or not, but मैंने how did I search? I honestly went to like top US law universities. Like that's what I looked for. The world news की reports आ गई थी, QS rankings आ गई थी. That's how I did it because LLM generally like general LLM ही होता है unless you apply for something very specific like New York University का tax LLM है which is very good but like वो very very specific to tax है. But generally आप general के लिए apply करते हो तो like more or less the same thing works for most of them. So मैंने तो इस तरह किया था. Maybe some people have other ways of doing it, but I just Google searched and found out. Please, बहुत random मेरे like I just thought of it. Do not use ChatGPT in writing your personal statements. Very by the way recommendation. Um, s- okay, so admissions at Harvard start mm, early September. I think early September खुल गए होंगे, खुलने वाले होंगे. That's how it works. And okay, then if you're in Lahore, Hamda, like I said, like you have a couple of options. Heather Mota is a great law firm. Speak to people there so you are more informed about the place before you get there. Can I guide a little bit more about judicial law clerkship? How should one prepare for the exam and interview? There is no exam. There's an interview. Judicial law clerkship does not. It's not a government job like that. It's a contractual position. You're not. आपकी रैंकिंग नहीं होती है लाइक आप ये नहीं होता कि आप लाइक 15 ग्रेड ऑफिसर और दैट्स नॉट हाउ इट इज़. हालांकि लाइक हमें क्योंकि वी वुड ऑल्सो ट्रैवल टू क्वेटा इन लाहौर इन कराची फॉर बेंचेस तो हमें टीएडीए मिलता था विच इज़ लाइक given according to the grade that you are. So we were 17th grade officers for that, but hum log contractual the, so we did not fall into the regular employment of the Supreme Court. We were a different sect. उसमें लाइक आई सेड एग्ज़ाम कोई नहीं होता. आप अपनी रेज्यूमे एक एप्लीकेशन होती है वो फिल आउट करते हो. उसमें वो आपसे सवाल जवाब पूछते हैं. कुछ लीगल सवाल होते हैं, पर्सनल स्टेटमेंट होती है, रेज्यूमे मांगते हैं, ग्रेड्स मांगते हैं. And when you get through that, very similar to like an LLM application process, by the way, when you do that, then there's an interview जो आपके दो Supreme Court judges देते हैं. So that's how it works. मेरे टाइम पे जस्टिस काजी फाजीसा ने इंटरव्यू लिया था और जस्टिस याया अफरीदी ने इंटरव्यू लिया था. So that was a very interesting interview. Very, very fun. Which other co-curricular activities help to make strong resume for applying abroad? I would say if okay, moving forward, if people could just tell me कि आप law का पूछ रहे हैं कि आप generally पूछ रहे हैं. अगर आप generally पूछ रहे हैं, I think generally अगर आप undergrad के लिए apply कर रहे हैं, तो I know debating, like parliamentary debating really helps. I know just writing, having some publications had. This is also true for law. उसमें फिर ये आ जाता है कि आप law moot करते हैं. उसको like it's a different structure, but again, public speaking really helps. And then having publications in the area of law that you're most interested in. These are some co-curriculars that I think really help. अगर आप undergrad हैं तो आपका volunteer work भी बहुत count करता है. अगर आप ह्यूमन राइट्स के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो तब भी आपका बहुत वॉलंटियर वर्क काउंट करता है. मैं ह्यूमन राइट्स के लिए अप्लाई नहीं कर रही थी तो मेरी कोई ऐसा था नहीं. एंड इवन द वन थिंग्स दैट आई डिड हैव दैट वर नॉट law firm and stuff, I had to take it out. Although even when I was doing it because I like doing these things and giving back. Like I like doing these sessions and I like working with young female lawyers and everything. So that was not something I did for my LLM application. And even when I was applying, I did not have space to add those. So these are some things that I think you could do. Yes, my law clerkship was in Islamabad. You essentially move to Islamabad for it. And frankly, it's the kind of job that parents get to give permission for very easily because you're essentially working for a Supreme Court judge. So I know like some girls reach out to me that hey, like I want to apply, but I feel like my parents will not allow me to go. I understand that. Give it your shot. Nahi hota, just tell them you can't come. I know that you put in some effort, but I think when you apply for something like this and you get in, your parents are like, okay, this is obviously once in a lifetime opportunity, you should definitely go. And they know you're working for a Supreme Court judge, you're gonna be fine, inshallah. Okay, I think I have answered a lot of questions already. If there's any more, I think I can wait for a bit, like a minute too. Yes, I think LinkedIn is the best place to reach out to me. Just write my name, Alizeh Akbar Meer, and I will show up. That's the best way to reach out to me. I think I'm better. I'm more responsive there than I'm anywhere else. Yeah, I'm happy to help with the personal statements. Whoever wants to, I'm more than happy to help with that. Also, there's this in another initiative that I'm working with. It's called uh, access to. You have to, so usme you apply and then they pick you, and if you get chosen for the program, they assign you a mentor that helps you out with your applications abroad. It's a very good initiative. It's entirely free of cost, extremely merit based. If your application is good, they will help you out with your application abroad. It depends what area of law you want to work with in Islamabad. I'm replying to the question, can you suggest a law firm in Islamabad? So if you could be more specific as to what area of law you're hoping to work in, maybe I could get a better recommendation. Thank you so much, everyone, for having. Can you spell the name? Yes, it is Alizeh Akbar Meer. That's how I. Okay, so clerkship is not Safarish based. I think that's the worst misconception about the thing. I have no lawyers in the family. I knew no lawyers. I had worked at one law firm. I was working with I had no sifarish, and I was told कि bro सिर्फ सिफारिश से होते हैं. That was so anxiety inducing. I was like, क्या करूँ? वकील है नहीं कोई family में. I had never taken help from my family. Like, and I was like, I have not taken any help from my family's connections to get anywhere, and I'm not starting now, and I didn't. So I know there is a misconception कि सिफारिश चलती है, सिफारिश नहीं चलती है. I know judges, Supreme Court judges के बच्चे that applied and did not get in. So okay, so one thing for law clerkship is कि ये बदलती रहता है क्योंकि हर साल different judges और different law clerks handle कर रहे होते हैं. So it really depends on the integrity of that year's committee. But in my experience, there was no sifarish, like absolutely no sifarish. Nobody I know, everybody at the Supreme Court and in the years that I was there 100% on the merit, and everybody was excellent at what they did. No sifarish. Oh, so the initiative is ACCESSED. You can look for them on Instagram or just send me a message and I will share their link. We did go. Did you just? I think we did go over the clerkship already and the roadmap. So maybe like if it's recorded, you could go back and see it. We are about to reach 1 hour. Maybe I can give you a general roadmap. It's very similar to applying for a university. Personal statement, legal questions that you have to answer. Then you get shortlisted. If you get shortlisted, then you have an interview, and the interview is with two Supreme Court judges. That's essentially what it is. Think of it as applying for an LLM. That's how it ends up becoming, like the application as a whole. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to quickly answer them, any new questions, and then we can wrap it up for today. Okay, so let's just, okay, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for all of your questions. It was really, really lovely. And I really enjoyed going over the questions as much as I enjoyed just speaking about my journey so far and how we can do better and just give back to Pakistan and how can we get here. And then if you want to go, everything that we spoke about, I really had a good time and I'm really happy I was able to do this. If there's any questions that you still continue to have, I'm happy to answer them. You can reach out to me on my LinkedIn, or email me, but I think I'm more responsive on LinkedIn than I am on emails. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day. And thank you so much to National Youth Leadership Program that organized this. This was really fun and really informative for me, just as much as it was for you guys. Have a good day. Khudafiz.